Best bites forever.
Hey, what's up everyone? I'm Chef Alicia, and in this video we're taking deviled eggs to the next level. Let's rock it out. For this recipe you're going to need some pickled red onions. I made my own the other day, so I have these ready to go. You can also buy them at the store, but I will leave a link to my recipe if you want to make your own. The first thing that I'm going to do is stick my 4 strips of bacon into the freezer. That's going to make it a lot easier to chop the bacon when I'm ready for it. I'm also going to put my eggs onto the stove. So what I like to do with my eggs, especially when I'm making deviled eggs, is I put them into the pot and then I put water over them and let them sit at room temperature for about 10 minutes before I turn the heat on. This really helps them not to crack, because when they crack you don't get pretty deviled eggs. The other thing that I'll be using in this recipe is some arugula. You can also use a spring mix or whatever kind of mixed green that you want. So let's go ahead and get these eggs cooking and our bacon into the freezer. While my eggs are cooking, I'm going to take a nice big handful of this arugula, and basically I'm just going to put it into a pile and run my knife through it. I don't want it to be big pieces of arugula all over my plate, but what I do want is for it to be a pretty garnish and just add some color to my plate, along with the taste of the arugula, which is a really nice fresh peppery flavor. So just want to kind of continue to go through this, just kind of chopping it into like little, you can see when I hold it up. Doesn't that look nice? It's going to be really pretty on those eggs. So I'm going to go ahead and put this into a container and set it to the side. Okay, so here is my bacon, and it actually ended up in the freezer for about 30 minutes, which worked out perfectly because you can see it's just way easier to chop. It doesn't like kind of do that rubber band, you know, spongy thing. You can just slice right through it. Very nice. So I'm cutting it into bits about this size, and then I'm going to move them over to my pan. So I'm going to go ahead and add my bacon into my hot pan. Hear that sizzle. Very nice. Now, usually for this recipe, I use candied bacon, so I candy it myself, and of course I will leave you a recipe for that. There will be a link in the description and in the iCard above. But I was at the store the other day and I saw this bacon, which was a brown sugar applewood smoked bacon, so I thought I would go ahead and give it a try. Also, you can see over there are my eggs, and they are at a nice simmer. You don't actually want to boil your eggs when you're cooking them. They just need to be at a simmer. Let me give you a look here. So you can see my eggs aren't at a super boil, and I'm actually going to turn them down for their last couple minutes here, because if you have them past the simmer, you can make your whites get tough. If you want to have kind of a more tender white, just take it up to a simmer. So there's a nice little tip for you. Okay, so this bacon is looking gorgeous. I'm going to take it off of the stove, and you see all of this extra bacon grease here? Absolutely do not throw that away. You need to be saving that because it is like liquid gold. And here, look, I have this is my bacon coffee cup, and I add bacon to this. I cook with it all the time. If you follow my channel, you are going to want to hold on to your bacon grease because I use it in a lot of recipes, and it just really adds a nice flavor to everything. So anyway, go ahead and drain this, save the grease, put these to the side. You can put them in the fridge for now. Okay, so now it's time to peel my eggs. So right here I have 7 of my eggs, and I have water covering them just past the halfway point. I'm going to put a lid on here, and I'm going to shake it very gently. So this is a great way to peel multiple eggs. Okay, so let's check out. It kind of cracks the shell, and it just makes like the water kind of gets underneath it, and then you can just like pretty easily pull the shell off. Now, I want to tell you that I've done this way a couple of times, and sometimes it works perfectly and sometimes it does not. But as you can see in this particular case, the shell came off really easily, and I still got to keep my nice, beautiful, smooth egg. But I definitely, like I said, I do want to give you the little warning that it doesn't always work perfectly when I do it this way. And it was actually something that my mother-in-law showed me. So if you want to peel them the other way, see, this guy doesn't want to cooperate quite as well as that first one. So if you want to do them the other way, do it your own way, great. I'm going to go ahead and get all of my eggs peeled. The next thing that I need to do is cut all of my eggs, so I'm just going to cut them long ways. right down the center, and you can see how beautiful this yolk came out. It has no green. See that? Absolutely beautiful yolk. Can you see the beautiful color? Can you see the beautiful color on the yolk in here? Okay, so anyway, I'm going to take the yolks out. They are going to go into a bowl. And then over here is my little strainer thing. I'm going to rinse out this part because I don't want to have like a messy looking yolk. You know, on my final plate up, I don't want little yellow yolk bits to be on this part. Alright? Now that I have all of my whites and yolks separated, it's time to break the yolks up. You can use one of these little pastry cutter guys if you happen to have one. If you don't, you can use a fork. These are pretty cool because they do it really quickly. As you can see, like, the job is pretty much almost done here. So I'm just going to go ahead and mash these up. Sorry, is that loud? Didn't mean for it to be. Alright, so this is looking pretty good to me, and I just want to make sure I don't have any large chunks. I think we're pretty cool here. I'm going to get that out of there. And then I want to start adding in some mayonnaise. So I'm just going to do, I don't know, we're going to call that 2 tablespoons, 3 tablespoons, and mix it together and see how it goes. It's really hard to give you an exact measurement of how much mayonnaise to put in, mostly because it's going to depend on exactly the cooking temperature that you took your yolks to, because they're going to be a little bit more dry depending on the temperature that they went to. So I'm also going to add in a little bit of salt, do that to your own taste, a little bit of black pepper also to your taste. You can also use white pepper if you don't want the little flecks. And if you want to give it a little heat, try some cayenne in there. It's really nice if you like the spicy. I'm going to go ahead and stir that together. Okay, then I'm going to move this into my pastry bag. I'm pretty happy with the amount of mayonnaise that I used. If you want to use more, obviously feel free. So I usually just kind of put that over my hand like so I kind of have an opening here. And that way, as I scrape this out of the bowl, I can kind of put it in and grab it with my hand like that. So it just kind of makes it a little bit easier for me. I've also seen people where they take it and put the bag like over a jar or a cup or whatever and kind of let it hang down in there and put it in that way. For me, this way is best, and of course I will go back with my spatula and get all of that because I'm not a big waster. So I have this all ready to go and I'm ready to start piping. So I did decide to go ahead and add a little more mayonnaise. I wasn't quite happy with the consistency that I had, but now I think it is just about perfect. So there these guys are. I'm just going to continue filling, and when I'm all done we will go ahead and chop up our red onions and plate this up really beautifully.
They look beautiful.
Okay, so I am going to be using this cutting board for my plate up, so I'm just going to go ahead and start moving my little deviled eggs, and I might kind of have to rearrange them as I put them on. We'll see how it goes. I kind of have a plan in my head, but it may not be a perfect plan. One more, I think. How about that guy instead? He's a little bit prettier, isn't he? Alright, perfect. Okay, so now I just want to get a nice little pile of these red onions, which I made earlier, but you don't have to make these homemade. You can buy them, but like honestly, they only take a couple of minutes, maybe like 10 minutes to make, you know, homemade, and then they need to sit at room temperature for like an hour, and then you can put them in the refrigerator and they're good for a couple of weeks. So, you know, it's really easy to just go ahead and make them instead of running out to the store. I am switching these out, so back to our plate up right here. I just want to take some of these red onions and drop them wherever they feel like landing. I'm not going to get real picky about it. I actually have been loving on the kind of, you know, like slightly, I don't want to say messy, I think that's a bad word, but kind of the messier look when it comes to plate ups where everything is just like happy and well lived in. So that is where I'm going with this. And then here are the bacon bits that we made earlier. Definitely want to have a lot of the bacon. I'm going to go ahead and sprinkle that around on there. When you're adding your salt, by the way, into your yolk mixture, you know, consider the fact that this is going to have bacon on it. So you want to be careful about the amount of salt that you add in. And also we do have the beautiful arugula that we chopped up earlier, and that is just going to be what gives it that nice bright greenness. It's gorgeous, right? I'm absolutely loving on it. I'm going to get a couple of pictures and then we are going to eat it. And there it is, everyone. Just like Mama never made. If you haven't subscribed already, go ahead and subscribe. If you're a returning subscriber, mwah, I love you, and I will see you all in the next video.
BackBitesForever.com